What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have yet another album review for you. And one that I guess we didn't know we were anticipating because we weren't even sure that this band was still around anymore.
Yeah, I haven't thought about this band in probably 10 years.
Yeah, and it's been almost as long since their last full length. So we are going to go over the latest offering from Keep of Kalessin, Katharsis. This also comes out on the 24th of March on Back on Black Recordings or Records. I think it just said Back on Black from the archives. It's been formed in 1995 in Norway. I've been a fan since I heard the album Armada, and then I picked up every album that came out after that, Colossus and Reptilian, which I like that album. I guess not a lot of people do, but I really do dig it. This is their 7th album and first one in 8 years since Epistemology, which came out in 2015, and that one was a pretty decent album, but they kind of just disappeared after this. And, well, I mean, I guess to describe their sound, they started off as more of a straightforward black metal act and then sort of moved into, like, melodic, blackened death metal and really got a dose of just being epic and sort of battle-ready. Like, everything about this band is either triumphant or sinister or both. And, they do it really well, and I didn't know I was anticipating this, but as soon as we heard the first riff, which is Katharsis, the title track, Jesus, a couple of turnovers, and we are in a blast beat fest, like a race against time. Oh my god, this drummer is a fucking maniac.
Yeah, straight off to the races, no punches pulled whatsoever. A blast beat fucking maniac. Just fast.
Yeah, like think Vader, Hour of Penance, Hideous Divinity, like bands that go fast. This is that, and it is just unbelievable in terms of the amount of like accents he squeezes in. The first 3 tracks in here are pretty much all blasts. There's a couple of groovy pockets so the drummer doesn't fucking die.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it is a breakneck pace, and then on top of that you have just huge riffs going from like sinister, thrashy, aggressive, blackened death metal to soaring, epic singing and ghostly choirs and strings and trumpets and battle-ness-osity, whatever.
And you'd think with all that it would sound cluttered because that's a whole hell of a lot of things to incorporate into a song, but it doesn't. It's layered really nicely, and nothing really overpowers anything. And man, I love the epic choirs. It makes everything sound kind of dark and evil sounding, but yet triumphant. Beautiful work.
Yeah, it's kind of like the score to Lord of the Rings, except, meth. The dynamic sweeps are just absolutely amazing on here, and largely in part due to the vocalist slash guitar slash keyboard slash only original member Arndt Obsidian. His vocal presence adds a lot. You have good low roars, screams, spoken word. Like he's like doing like Shakespeare in the Park, like Richard III battle fucking speeches. Like we have to once more into the fucking breach sort of shit.
Yeah, but he's doing it like commanding an army through like a fucking bullhorn. It's in your face. Just, you will do this now! Blah!
And you feel the fucking energy from it. Like, it really makes this album kind of like jump out at first. Like, it does feel like it has like a narrative to it, and he's rallying his fucking troops, and they're all moving at the speed of like hummingbird wings because that's the pace the drummer sets.
A lot of Behemoth vibes, a lot of like Mors Principium. I like the Omni because the Omni, along with the melody and all the crazy shit that's happening there, when the choirs come in, it reminds me a whole lot of Devin Townsend.
It does.
Whole lot, and I fucking love that.
Like, take a Devi album and play it, like, at 10 times speed, and it's actually probably pretty damn similar. And, again, it's these dynamics between, like, very aggressive verses. Like, the Omni has very thrashy riffs. Chunky, heavy, drive the song, but when you get down to these giant soaring choirs, like, wow, I feel pretty goddamn empowered right now.
And then you get to the 4th song, War of the Worm, which is one of my favorites on here, period, dude. Straight Morbid Angel chugs. It is nasty. A nasty sounding song, a tad slower, but a beast of a fucking song.
They do groove it up. I like the more sinister, dark tremolo riffs. Like, there is, some darkness peppered in this, because this feels like it's about war. War's got darkness, but there's a lot about fucking winning, I think, on here.
Yep. That's made known in From the Stars of Beyond, where you get, like, a classic heavy metal feel.
Yeah, I mean, classic heavy metal knows how to be triumphant. You even have some folky touches on there. Honestly, some of the stuff on there reminded me of the band Tyr and their, knack for folky stuff. And, again, sounding triumphant and victorious no matter what. And that is sort of the vibe on that song, but also very pretty. It's very lush.
Yep.
And this kind of comes on the production again, like, all the layers and everything. Like, again, you have synth layers, choirs. They get very busy. And this is one of the songs I would say that might get a little too busy. Like, there's some weird Chinese synths that kind of come on there that, I don't know, they don't necessarily fit. But I'm going to go ahead and say that there is a reason why we are kind of going track by track here a little bit in terms of talking about the front half versus the back half. Because this album takes a very interesting turn.
Violent turn into...
I don't know.
Places that we're uncertain of. Like, I'm just going to say it. The first 5 songs on this CD whoop ass.
Absolutely.
Like, completely. Like, you had me at this point. Like, I was ready to tell you the world about this record. But you get into the Journey's End. First of all, an odd placement for this song. It's a ballad.
And it's the Journey's End, and it's track 6 out of 9.
Yeah.
And, it leads in with clean, isolated guitars, like some light synths in the background, and some forlorn, isolated vocals, and honestly, it kind of sounds like, simple Norwegian man.
Yeah.
Like, it's a slow-building ballad. It gets, more grand as it goes on. And granted, it is ballsy to put a ballad on an extreme metal album.
Yep. Incredibly depressive vocals that obviously allude to the end of the journey, perhaps a loss of war.
At least he revved up those troops pretty well.
Yeah.
And this song does build up. Like, you have some, nice guitar harmonies, and the drums eventually come in, which, track 6, he's been blasting his ass off for 5 tracks. He deserved a nap.
Yeah.
But it builds to this big crescendo of the chorus on here. And, all right. I'll be honest, all right, his vocals on here are really good, but I don't think they're good enough to carry a ballad.
I don't either.
They are a little bit flat when they start adding all the choirs and, layers to it. It does sound better, but you're like, well, I mean, it kind of started off as, isolated and barren, and it turned into this grand thing, and it's not necessarily that grand.
Nope.
And it kind of hit, some immediate breaks. But, we got down to the Obsidian Expanse, which is the longest track on here.
10 minutes, and I've been told, because I'm still obviously getting into black metal in places, so I've been told that a black metal trick is to hold on to a melody and or a riff forever.
Transmitting hunger.
So for 5 minutes, they hold on to this melody, this blast thing, which you're like, all right, maybe they're getting back on track, and then it cuts to synths. Very quiet. Everything cuts out for a full 2 minutes, and then, nothing ever happened, it cuts back into the blast with the same fucking melody.
Yep.
To end out the song. Did you need 10 minutes?
This is, 8 out of 10 minutes of the same riff and melody. And it feels like I was perpetually stuck at the end of a song. Yep. It has this sort of grand crescendo. This would be the end of the song where it gets epic. It's a static blast beat. The riffs are, again, epic. They're triumphant sounding. They are soaring. But they soar at the same level for the entire song. And then when the synths come in, it's just sort of oddly placed. We went from this blackened, triumphant metal to Tangerine Dream. And then we went right back to the same riff. It was pretty much Groundhog Day, the fucking song.
With 10 minutes of a song, I expected, I don't know, I guess I just expected there to be more of a song instead of what that was.
If I had left the room to do anything and came back to the fucking table, I would have thought you started it over.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, why did you do that? Did we miss something? It was the same riff. Now, I will acknowledge that I think, again, this is part of like a narrative. Like, there's a story to this. So, this might have more to do with the story, but at the same time, I feel like maybe the music kind of suffered for the sake of the narrative. Like, I don't know if this was the section where the protagonist was walking in circles for a year, but I don't know. Like, I feel like he just, like stopped in his journey, found a synthesizer, and then doubled back, and was like, I'm gonna do it again.
Yep. And then even more strange is the ending of that song has this big like heavy metal ending to it, where it's just everyone's I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. Like, this is our last song tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, pretty much that. Like, closing and big epic and cymbals and fucking everyone's happy and whatever. But like, then you got a song after that, which gets back on track, kind of. Yeah,
Throne of Execration is decidedly more put together. Like, there's actual dynamics again. You have riff switches and there's some really cool epic moments. In fact, like, it does build in epicness, and it does feel like it closes out the show. Like, it does feel like there's some closure to it, and it's just a way more interesting song because it feels like an actual song.
But then again, if you think about the fact that we've mentioned a narrative, how do you lose a war and then celebrate and then go back to kicking ass? What kind of narrative is that?
Maybe he like came back to the village and he's just lying to all the villagers, like, "Oh well, we won the war." It's like, where are all the other soldiers? They chose to stay there because it was so nice, and totally not because they're all dead.
Yep, they're all eating and enjoying, and the hobbits are dancing, and everyone's having a great time.
It's all great. I had to leave though,
and maybe that's maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I got drunk and called Elrond a pussy, and then this whole thing came down, and I had to leave. That's why I'm here. No one's dead.
And then, of course, it ends on the Eternal Swarm, which is just another minute and a half of Tangerine Dream and 80s sci-fi. An odd placement for something such as this, considering there's nothing in here at all except the 2 minutes in the middle of the Obsidian Expanse, which also has sci-fi. Like, I just don't understand.
I don't get it. Like, it's pleasant. Like, I like Tangerine Dream.
I do too.
It's good chill music. Why is this closing out with just like sort of a random synth track? Like, it doesn't feel like closure at all. It just feels like, I had this synth line that I really wanted to put in an album, and here it is, and it's nice, but it just doesn't fit. And that is just sort of the issue with this album. Like, the front half of this absolutely whoops ass.
Yes.
We dug the fuck out of it.
Yes, I was happy, and just like, we paused every song, and we're like, man, that was a fucking banger. But it gets completely off the rails, and it never really recovers. Like, the 1-2 punch of Journey's End and the Obsidian Expanse, it just kind of derails the album and ventures into territory where maybe it shouldn't have. So yeah, this was definitely a tale of two halves, and 5 tracks in, I was ready to say, like, this is potential end of year stuff, and then the rest of the album happened, and this is more End of the Sopranos than end of year. Like, man, kind of a huge letdown. Yes.
Because, man, like, I didn't even know I was hyped for this album, and then we put it on. I was like, dude, maybe I am fucking hyped.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This is really good. And then I don't know what the hell happened. Like, I get it. Like, if there's a story or a narrative, you kind of have to stick to it. But I feel like just something happened to the back half of this album. Like, and maybe some songs were lost, and I don't know. I flat out don't get the Obsidian Expanse. Like, it is so repetitive, and it literally goes nowhere. And then it goes and finds a synthesizer, and then it goes back to nowhere. I don't understand, because there was such momentum built, and it kind of fell off a cliff.
So overall, personally for me, I'm going to give this 3.5 stars, and a majority of that is based on those first 5 songs. The first half of this record is untouchable by most things. It absolutely whoops ass. The songwriting is there. I love all the layering. I love how the songs ebb and flow, and there's something different to each of those songs. And I was fully ready, both of us were fully ready to give this album an incredible fucking rating because of how awesome it was. But then it shit the bed. I don't get the last half of this record. I just don't. The pacing is strange. The songs are grossly mismatched. Journey's End was possibly a decent experiment, but it shouldn't have derailed the album. And in this case, I felt like it derailed the album. This album had so much potential, and I thought like it just lost it. And I can't give it just a 3 because of how awesome the first 5 songs were, but you can't have any more than that from me because of the back half, and that's kind of where I sit. It's not terrible, though. If you're a fan of this band and you haven't heard them in quite a while, you're probably absolutely going to love at least the first half of the record. But if you like stuff like, Behemoth and Mortis Principium and awesome music such as that, you're going to love this. 3.5 for me.
I'm going to give it a 3. And that's mostly based on like how much I really liked the first half of this album, and to an extent, Throne of Execration I thought was pretty decent.
Yeah.
But man, like this really fell off. Like this, like started off like fucking Empire Strikes Back and ended on the fucking Phantom Menace.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know it's kind of harsh, but it really did. Like, I haven't felt like a momentum drop off on an album like this in a while. Everything in the front half was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, it was intense. The drum work is fucking ridiculously good. The orchestration, all the elements coming together, I thought were excellent. Like, this was definitely feeling very much like a triumphant return. And then, I don't know, like, I don't know what happened in the end here. Like, this was, more confusing than the end of, like, Disney's The Black Hole. That movie still makes no fucking sense at the end, but I still like it.
Fair enough.
So I'm kind of like that. This album is Disney's The Black Hole. Like, I still enjoy it, but the end of it is just a little strange and makes no sense, and I don't know what happened. I think maybe there were just some weird creative choices on this one in terms of like the pacing. Like, I don't even know if like rearranging some tracks would maybe help this.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Like, it was just a strange listen. Like, I haven't gone from like a high to a low like this so abruptly. Well, at least it's been a while. But yeah, I still recommend checking it out. I mean, if you like Keep of Kalessin, the whole front half is loaded with stuff that you probably really like about this band. And again, like Mortis Principium Est, I would say like mid Dimmu Borgir era stuff. Definitely that too. Check it out. Give it your own go. This is just what I think. Who knows, you might love the entire fucking thing.
Yeah.
It was just kind of half of a really good album for me. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our store is there. We will reload on stuff, but that'll probably have to wait until after
Denver Death Fest, of course, April 20th through the 22nd in Denver, Colorado. We got some really awesome bands on the bill. Again, thank you to all of them. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everybody that's definitely put something into this, because this is taking a whole lot to put together and keep together, for that matter. Anyway, 3 days at $60, 2 days at $45, and 1 day at $25. And that's, of course, if you buy in advance. If you wait to get there until the day of, it'll cost you $35 a day. I'm no mathematician, but I would state that the pre-sale prices are cheaper than the regular prices. Anyway, if you can only make it out for 1 day, that's cool too, because we'll all be there having a good time, having some beverages, having some not beverages, maybe eating a burger, enjoying some fucking heavy metal, because that's what got us here in the first place. Thralls of Metal got a chance to do something cool, and so we took the opportunity and did it. Come out and join us.
And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. Again, the awkward thank you part.
Thank you.
I gotta do it, but y'all fucking rule. Y'all keep us going. Plenty of stuff coming in the future. We're already kind of noodling about in some weird, goofy ideas where we can be completely irreverent on camera, which is kind of like every time we're in front
which
of
is kind
camera.
of like, I know you're shocked, because I know that never happens, of course.
Very
We're
serious
very
bunch here.
Straight-laced, serious people, and obviously
Totally.
we don't say anything funny or witty or anything like that. We're just kind of here.
What are humor?
Losers.
And then no one's going to argue with it.
But that's us, not you all. Thank you all so much for continuing your patronage, so to speak, I guess, of Thralls of Metal, and your commenting and all the things, wonderful things that you do. We appreciate you guys. This is a huge part of our lives. We couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you, and you, and you, and of course you, and thank you, and I see you. Fucking thank you.
Run. But yeah, one more big awkward thank you.
Thank you.
And we will catch you later.